Good morning, children. Stay safely and happily at home. Stay at home, but do your work properly and be up to date in your work. Okay, means the study related work, I mean. So last lesson I taught you that how to measure very large distances. We learned the direct method as well as indirect method. Today we will learn the method how to measure very small distances. Means distances, small distances means the size of an atom. Alright, means the length, small length rather, not distance, small length. So size of an atom. What is the size of an atom? Of the order of 10 to the power minus 10 meter. Alright. So today we learn the indirect method for measuring small distances. Now first indirect method is known as Avogadro hypothesis method. So before starting the method, I must say about the Avogadro hypothesis. What is the Avogadro hypothesis? According to Avogadro hypothesis, you know that if you take any substance of molecular weight, okay, then it always contains n number of, capital N number of atoms. Capital N is known as the Avogadro number and its value is 6.023 into 10 to the power 23. Then second one according to hypothesis is, if you consider the volume of the atom within a substance, it is equal to 2/3 of the total volume of the substance. Alright, means 2/3 of the total volume of the substance is occupied by the atoms present in it. Alright, so in this method what we will do, that we will consider, suppose we have taken m gram of substance. We have taken small m gram of substance. Alright, and we are assuming that capital M be the molecular weight or molecular mass of the substance in gram and N is the Avogadro number. Then according to Avogadro hypothesis, what I said, if you consider the molecular weight is m gram, then m gram substance should contain n number of atoms. So you can write the sentence like this: number of atoms in m gram of substance is n. So according to unitary method, what will be, here I have put a dotted sign, number of atoms in 1 gram of substance will be n by m. So number of atoms present in the mass that we have taken, that is small m gram, will be n into small m by big M. So just unitary method we have done. Then we are assuming, and we do it, you know, that according to the kinetic theory of matter, we consider that atoms present in a substance, they are identical and their shape we assume them as spherical. Alright. So if you consider r be the, small r be the radius of each atom, then as the atom is considered as spherical, volume of one atom will be 4/3 pi r cube. So you see what will be the volume of all atoms present in n gram. Volume of one atom is 4/3 pi r cube, and how many atoms are present in m gram? We have done in the last one expression, n into big N into small m by big M. Is that clear? Now if you apply the Avogadro hypothesis, Avogadro hypothesis is volume of all atoms is 2/3 volume of the substance. So you can write what is the volume of atoms. This is the volume of atoms, Nm by m into 4/3 pi r cube is equal to 2 by 3 into V. V is the volume of the substance. So 3 you can cancel. Then volume you can write it as mass by density. So mass you can cancel, and 2 and 4 you can cancel. So here will come 2. So what will be r cube? You see m will come here and then it is 2 pi n into rho. Alright, so r cube is m by 2 pi n rho. So what is r? R equal to m by 2 pi n rho whole to the power 1/3, means cube root. Okay, 1/3 means what? cube root. So cube root of m by 2 pi n rho. So you see, if you know what is the molecular weight of the substance, if you know what is the density of the substance, then substituting their values in this formula, you can find out what is the radius of an atom. Means you can estimate what is the size of an atom. So this is the way, by using Avogadro hypothesis method, one can find out the size of an atom, which is of the order of 10 to the power minus 10 meter. Now next, indirect method for measuring small distance is known as molecular layer method. So from the name only you can make out that this method is used to find out the size of a molecule, which is of the order of 10 to the power minus 9 meter. Alright. Now for these purposes, generally we prefer to take certain liquid whose molecular size is quite big. Alright. One of the example of this kind of substance whose molecule is of bigger size is oleic acid. Alright. So what we do? First we take 1 centimeter cube of oleic acid and we dissolve 1 centimeter cube of oleic acid into 20 centimeter cube of alcohol. Alright. So a solution is prepared. Now take 1 centimeter cube of this solution and again you add it to 20 centimeter cube of alcohol. Centimeter cube means cc. Alright. So 20 cc of alcohol. So you see what is happening in the final solution. How much? What is the concentration of oleic acid? It is 1 by 400. Okay. That is the concentration of oleic acid in the solution. Means concentration of oleic acid is quite less in comparison to alcohol. Alright. Now you do one thing. You take a flat tray and you just pour water into it up to the bin. Okay. Now you do one thing. You take, suppose we are assuming that we are taking certain drops, n number of drops of the final solution of oleic acid and alcohol, and then you pour it over the water. Then what will happen? Acid and alcohol solution, it will just spread over the water and it will produce a thin layer over the water. Alright. Now what you have to do, by taking a wax coated glass strip, you just stretch that alcohol oleic acid layer and make it thinner as much it is possible. Alright. Then you wait for some time. Then what will happen? Alcohol, it will evaporate and then what will be formed over water? A fine layer of oleic acid will be formed. Now the fine layer of oleic acid, it is so thin, means don't draw this diagram. You may assume that as if only a layer of molecule is present on that thin layer of oleic acid over water. So these are the steps I have written, okay, point wise, so that if it comes in exam, it will be useful, it will be helpful for you to write the method point wise. Okay. So point wise I have written the way you have to write during the time of exam. So please you copy it. Now what is done after that? After the oleic acid layer is formed over water, by using a graph paper, that 6th standard only you studied it, how to find out the area of an irregular shaped object by using a graph paper. So by using a graph paper, we find out what is the area of the acid layer. So let us consider area of the acid layer be a centimeter square. Now if you assume that V is the volume of each drop of the solution, now you have taken n drops of solution. I hope you can remember, I wrote that also. So what is will be the volume of n drops of solution? Volume of n drops of solution will be n into V. Alright, so what will be the volume of oleic acid in this solution? Because you know what is the concentration of oleic acid in the solution? 1 by 400. So what will be the volume of oleic acid in the solution? N into V by 400 centimeter cube. Now if you consider the thickness of the layer, means if you consider that this is water and here is the oleic acid layer. So if you consider this thickness is T, then what is the volume? A into T. So A into T you can write NV by 400. So what is T? Thickness of the layer NV by 400 into A. Now as I said, we are assuming that we have made the layer so thin that as if there is only one layer of molecule. So you see thickness of the molecule will become equal to the size of the molecule. So by measuring the thickness of the oleic acid layer formed on water, you can estimate what is the size of one molecule of oleic acid. So this is the way by molecular layer method one can find out what is the size of a molecule. Now next topic is how to measure mass of a body. Alright, you know what is mass? Amount of matter present in a body is known as mass. Alright, now how we measure mass, depending on that which formula we use, which concept we use to measure mass, we can classify mass into two types: inertial mass and gravitational mass. Alright, so first I am discussing what is inertial mass. Remember that inertial mass and gravitational mass, they are same thing only. We are just measuring in two different way. Alright, now inertial mass we measure by using the concept of inertia. Alright, we know that the more is the mass, more is the inertia. Means more difficult to produce the acceleration. So inertial mass, what we do, we take a mass of standard mass or known mass. Alright, suppose we are considering we have taken a mass m0, which is a standard or known mass. Now what you will do, you apply the same force on the body whose mass you want to find and on the standard mass. So you see, depending on their mass, different amount of acceleration will be produced. So you measure the acceleration, okay, produced in it, and you can write that force acting on the first body whose mass you want to find, it will be m into A, and force applied on the standard mass or known mass, it will be m0 into a0. So you see, according to this relation, you are getting m by m0 is equal to a0 by a. So what will be the mass of the unknown body? It will be a0 by a into m0. See, so you see here how you are measuring the mass, comparing the acceleration produced in the body and on the standard mass by applying the same force. Alright, so this mass, as we have measured the mass by applying the concept of inertia, by applying Newton's second law, by measuring, comparing their acceleration, so this mass is known as the inertial mass. Okay, inertial mass. But remember, again I am repeating, inertial mass and gravitational mass, they are actually the same thing only. Now, inertial mass is measured by a special kind of balance, not physical balance. It is known as inertial balance. It is a very simple thing. Alright, suppose this is a top of a table. I have not drawn the entire part of the table. Now on the top of the table, by a clamp, alright, by a metal strip and clamp, a wooden block is attached. Then with the wooden block, two metal strips along with a pan is attached. Alright. Now it is just like you consider, suppose this is the wooden block and you have, it looks like this. Suppose you just assume this is the top of the table and you have attached a metallic strip and a pan like this. Now you see, if you just press it and release, then you know what will happen to the pan and the strip. It will vibrate, isn't it? It will vibrate periodically. Alright, so that is done. What is done? That the mass body whose mass you want to measure, you keep it on the pan, then you press the pan and release it, then you will see the pan will vibrate up and down. Then in that case, time period of vibration of the pan, it depends on three factors. What are the three factors? Length of the projecting part, it depends on eta, means modulus of rigidity of the strip or modulus of elasticity of the strip, we denote it by eta, and it also depends on mass of this pan and the body. Remember, it not only depends on the mass of the body, it depends on mass of the pan as well as the mass of the body. Alright, remember that this is not a line. Here there is a metal strip and there is a metal strip. So I have just put an arrow here, or I can do like this, then you will not be confused that this is one metal strip and this is another metal strip. Okay, and there is a pan attached with that. Okay, so time period of vibration depends on three factors. Length of the projecting part, eta means what? Modulus of elasticity of the strip, and it depends on mass of the pan and the body. Here the term body I have written may not be visible, so that's why I am saying verbally. Please you note it down properly in the notebook. Okay, so these are the three factors on time period of vibration of the pan depends. Now how to measure the mass then? So it has been found that the time period of vibration, and if you consider mass of the pan and the body, then mass of the pan and the body is directly proportional to square of the time period. Alright. So here what you will do, you will take just like the previous one, that we take one initial, standard mass. Standard mass means a body whose mass is known to you. Okay, then put it on the pan, vibrate it, find out the measure the time period of vibration. So you see M0 you have measured, T0 you have measured, and then you take the unknown mass M, put it on the pan and then vibrate it, find out the time period of vibration. So according to this relation, one can write M by M naught is T square by T naught square. So what will be the unknown mass? Unknown mass is equal to known mass into T square by T naught square. Here T and T naught you can measure experimentally. Alright, so you see, by using the inertial balance, one can find out the inertial mass of a body. Now here this graph is important, as the dependence here, you see one side is linear, another side is quadratic. So if you plot T versus M graph, it will be a parabola, because equation of a parabola is given by this formula. You see here one side is quadratic, T is quadratic, T square, and other side x is the mass, it is linear. Okay, so if one side is quadratic, other side is linear, means if the equation obeys is of this form, then what will be the nature of the graph? Nature of the graph will be a parabola. So as T and M depending each other according to the parabolic equation, so the graph will be a parabola. So this is the way one can measure the inertial mass. Next concept is the gravitational mass. Gravitational mass is measured by using a beam balance, and already in 10th standard you studied what is the working principle of beam balance, principle of moment. So if I draw a simple diagram that in both sides the two scale pans are there, we assume their mass are equal, and at the midpoint it is pivoted. So if you consider this L1 and L2, this L1 and L2, these two lengths are equal. So what are the forces acting? Weight of the body kept in this band. So if you consider M1 is the mass, it will be M1G is the force, gravitational force. So you have understood why it is known as gravitational mass. Although we are using principle of moment, but we are finding the moment of gravitational force. Okay, that's why the gravitational mass term is coming. So here you see the what is the weight M1G. So what is the moment of this force? M1G into L1. What is the moment of this force above the fulcrum? M2G into L2. So GL2, GL and GL1 and GL2 you can cancel from both sides. So what are you getting? M1 equal to M2. So if you keep one standard mass on one side, then you can find out what is the unknown mass on the other side. So this is the way you can measure the mass of the same body by using the concept of inertia. When you are measuring the mass, it will be known as inertial mass. When you are measuring the mass of the body by using the concept of principle of movement, okay, then it will be known as the gravitational mass. So that's all about the measurement of mass. Next is measurement of time. Now, measurement of time is that any phenomena that repeats regularly itself, you can use it as a time measuring device. Alright, just you consider, I have just written here the examples. One example is quartz crystal clock. Electrically sustained vibration of quartz. By using electrically sustained vibration of quartz, you can measure the small time intervals. Alright, then another one is atomic clock. Here the vibration of cesium atom is taken into consideration, and by using a cesium clock or atomic clock, you can measure time of the order of 10 to the power minus 12 second. Then by using decay of elementary particles, you take the photography of the, using the photographic technique of the decaying elements, elementary particles, you can measure time. Then by using the radioactive carbon dating process, you can measure time. Alright, by using carbon dating process, you can measure the age of universe, age of earth, age of the rock present on earth. You can find out the age of the plants, very old plants you can find out by using the technique of carbon dating. Then by using the electric oscillator also you can find out the small time interval. By using electronic oscillator, means in this case we are using semiconductor devices. Alright, and in the semiconductor devices, what is done, an electromagnetic wave is produced, it is of high frequency, and by using electronic oscillator you can measure very small time intervals. Alright, so these are the few examples examples of devices or process by which you can measure the time interval. Alright, so that is the end of the chapter. Now the other topics given in the chapter for you, it is omitted. So these are omitted, means the error analysis, accuracy, significant figure, all are omitted for 2021 board exam. So that's why I am not teaching that. Okay, so whatever I have taught and whatever written on the this one whiteboard, you must note it down clearly in the notebook. Alright, and you must learn it. Thank you, girls.